should you acquire a business partner and when is the right time to acquire a business partner are some key conversations that I've been having. And I think it's specifically because, we are in a part of the year when we are evaluating the year that is behind us and the year that is ahead, which in fairness is something that we are doing continuously. But I think specifically at this time, it's causes us an opportunity to really reflect on the state of our business and whether we'd like to invite somebody to be along for the ride. I think that there are 4 key things to consider as you are evaluating, the strengths, weaknesses, and whether having a partner is the right fit for you. Obviously, I've had lots of these conversations. I've actually got presentations on this. As you can see, we can get and do a deep dive as much as you wish. But I wanted to top line it very quickly because I think there's 4 key considerations. And this really leans into, why do you want a business partner? I think the first often reason that comes to mind is that we are looking for someone to invest in our business and really help us manage the financials and potentially optimize the financials. So that is usually the very first reason. The second reason is because often we are looking for a partner in crime. We want somebody to commiserate with both for the highs and the lows. And so often that is the second reason that we are looking to bring someone in, because there's just some things where it's, we have trouble navigating. And so having a partner in crime would sometimes help ease that, helps you manage your own holidays, you get it, helps you manage the team, etc. The third reason is to have someone to brainstorm and innovate with. And I think this is where, often we want somebody that's going to help us take it to the next level. That requires a certain degree of passion and commitment to the business. And I get that. I get that we want that other person to be alongside us and really want to drive the business as much as we do. And I think that that's a valid consideration. And I think that that's a challenging one to fill. So I'm going to come back to all of these. And of course, then the last one is that we want somebody that is going to be an offset to our skills and to our own strengths and challenge areas. So they definitely come to the table with a unique set of competencies that complement ours so that we can each jointly manage and stay in our lanes, so to speak, but do this for the betterment of the company. And so those are my 4 key top line reasons that I think come to mind most frequently when I'm having the conversations with some of my clients regarding should they or should they not actually pursue partnership conversations. So let's break this down. The first one being, you literally want an infusion of funds in order to help offset, honestly, either the day-to-day cash flow issues, or you want to invest in some, equipment or some assets that help structure you for the long term. Usually it is for the purpose of business building, less so about regulating the business on a day-to-day basis, but often that can be the reason as well. And I think when you are looking to acquire a partner for the purpose of financial infusion, I think you really have to respect that partner is going to come to the table with some terms and conditions. It is rare that they come to the table and say, here you go, here's my wallet, take what you need, and let me know how it goes. The let me know how it goes has strings attached. And I think that's only fair and justified. That shouldn't surprise any of us. But I think you need to be aware as to what does that mean? Does that mean there's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly reviews? What is the expectation regarding involvement in business decision-making overall, potentially even in human resource decision-making? So what exactly are the terms and conditions through which that money has been given or for which that money has been given? And I think you need to be aware of that and obviously ensure that that fits, your DNA and is something that you can manage and is worth it. So is the money worth it? I often say to a lot of founders, business owners, and entrepreneurs, really look at yourself and do a bit of a self-analysis first and determine what is important to you and how you work. And then decide, how does a partner fit into that? And are you willing to make those adjustments so that you can deliver on their needs as well as ensuring that, you're delivering on your own and are motivated to show up for work every day. I think that's true regardless of the scenario at hand. But I do find that the conversation when it involves dollars is obviously more intense. That should really surprise anyone. I do think that there are ways that you can obviously, do this on your own. You can extend get a line of credit from the bank. You can often get funding and potentially even grants from government bodies. You can max out your credit cards. You can go to family and friends. That is something that I would be extremely cautious about, because obviously they start to evaluate, why are they taking a day off? Why are they going on holidays when they've potentially loaned you this money or invested in your company? So I think you have to really think through the strengths, weaknesses, and implications of who you are taking money from, why you are taking the money at all, obviously, is your first point, and then how are you going to manage that relationship and the decisions. So that is something that is a critical set of conversations that, in fairness, really depends on the players at the table and obviously the dollars at the table. This is a totally different conversation when you are dealing with venture capitalists and even angel investors. There's a whole different level of conversation and parameters that are present at the table. And I'm not really getting into that at this point, because that in itself is its own separate conversation. That happy to get into that at any point in time, but that's a whole separate set of issues and opportunities. So let's talk about the second reason that we often start to think about a partner, and that is because we simply want a partner in crime. To a certain extent, misery and joy love company. And so often we want a partner because we just want someone to share the ride with. I think that's true personally and professionally. In a professional setting, I think that while that has its merits, you really have to think about, what do we both bring to the table? And is that a sufficient reason that I like somebody, that I feel comfortable with them, that I want to potentially give some of my equity to them or allow them to buy in? I think you have to think about that. And my recommendation would be really to evaluate, again, yourself, your own needs, how you operate, do the same thing with and for that person. And if you decide you're going to continue the conversation, then my suggestion would be that you guys get a coach to help navigate that, because, and I would say that actually for any partnership that you choose to pursue, you definitely need to have an unbiased, and I don't want to use the word mediator, but I think coach, because there are going to be issues and opportunities that arise where you are going to have differences of opinion. And so I think navigating that is super important. In the case of having someone that you could commiserate with, my suggestion would be get a coach. Commiserate with a coach. Find someone, if that's really what you want. I'm not sure, in my opinion, I don't think that's enough of a reason to bring on a business partner. Now, to bring on a business partner because of the third and fourth points, someone to brainstorm with or someone to offset your competencies. Just as I said in the second scenario where you want someone to commiserate with and share the pain and the joy, I think someone to brainstorm with is another situation where you can lean into amazing external resources. So for many years, I have been part of a board, and every individual on that board was a business owner and leader. We all had actually completely different lines of business that we were in, and we would come to the table once a month, and each person, it would rotate, each person would share their business plan, and the rest of us would weigh in on that business plan and offer solid counsel and opinion and help them brainstorm and innovate. And then at subsequent meetings, while another business plan was being presented, the previous individuals and actually the rest of us at the table would provide a bit of an accountability update. How were we tracking based on the feedback that we had been given and the inputs that we had been given from the other people at the table? So I think that has huge merit. I think having, being part of community groups, business groups, online and offline, and really committing yourself to be a continuous learner. Honestly, go to some amazing conferences that actually are outside of your business competency so that you get a totally different perspective, are great ways to self-brainstorm and inspire yourself, and then have conversations with other people. I think that is where you don't necessarily need a business partner with that. You just need sources of inspiration. So finding a circle of genius for yourself and or different ways to inspire yourself, I think is critical to success and not necessarily the reason that you need a business partner. The last point for me is leaning into the strengths of another person that are a good offset to you. And to me, I have to be honest, of the 4 reasons, obviously having the financial conversation and that being a key piece is something that is often one of the key reasons that we enter into a partnership. I just don't love that as the reason, and I'd rather find other financial sources and try and self-fund for as long as I can. That said, finding a business partner or, having someone that you meet enter into the fold that has totally different competencies than yourself and therefore is a great complement and offset to yourself, I think is a very viable and justified reason to have a partnership conversation of sorts. Because I think this is where you each have a lane where you can both shine, both bring a lot to the table in terms of innovating, solving problems, and really driving your organization to the next level. That said, because you do come to the table with totally different perspectives, I think that is a huge strength, but obviously that can cause some challenges. So again, this is where I think that it's important that you have a coach as part of the process of developing that partnership and really setting yourself up for success, and that the two of you define, or however many, define the key parameters that will be important for you to achieve success right from the start is critical. And then I think it's important that you then have very regular and committed check-ins so that your partnership stays healthy as you move forward, because you are going to conflict. You are going to have differences of opinion. And I think when we are initially entering into these relationships, we actually default to assuming that everything's going to run smoothly, because that's what we want, right? We wear those rose-colored glasses and think that the glass is half full to overflowing. And so obviously it comes with very positive intent and positive emotion. But the truth is, as you are developing a partnership relationship, you actually have to look at the flip side of it. What could go wrong? What are the challenges that we may face? Because it's in owning up to some of those challenges as much as possible right at the start. Obviously, you don't want to plan for negatives and you don't want to foresee negatives, but I think you have to admit that there are going to be challenges and different perspectives. So what are we going to do when we come to the table and, one person says purple and the other person says green, and, mixing the two together is a yucky blend. And so how do you figure out how to meet in the middle, or determine, no, we're going to go purple or we're going to go green? How do you actually make those decisions and move forward without resentment and then with full support of each other as you do that? And that's where I do think you have to have some operating principles that you define. And then in addition to that, have continuous regular check-ins so that you both stay on the same page as you move forward and are both committed and accountable, not only to the organization, but to the health and well-being of your partnership, because at the end of the day, that is the health and well-being of the organization. So I hope this helps and provides some good food for thought. Obviously I've been through lots of these conversations, so I've got everything from frameworks and ways that we can have these conversations and work through. One, should you even consider having a partner or having those conversations? Number two, what is the best way to evaluate what that partnership would even look like before you even begin the conversation? And then three, if you're in the conversation and you want to figure out how to optimize it, what are some things that you could consider? If this is a conversation that you would like to have with somebody objective, then please don't hesitate to reach out. And all the details are obviously below, but I think it's worthy for you to consider, where to from here and what do you really want before you start to engage and literally shake hands and swing a deal. Make sure that you've actually figured out what that looks like so that you create a happy and healthy partnership moving forward.